This program is proudly brought to you by Toyota.
This program is proudly brought to you by Toyota. Today on episode 107, I'm going to show you the inside of one of our vehicles. And this behind me is now it's the Toyota Hiace, proudly brought to you by Toyota. Let's open it up and have a look. A three-wheelchair space minibus. It's got everything that you need, such as a hoist that unfolds up and down and up, and it's got a diesel engine. Now, we won't open the hoist, but we will tell you about the features it's got in it. It's got an AM, FM radio, and CD player, and automatic transmission. Here's Alec now to open episode 107 with this.
Yeah, thanks, Barry. It's a classic car, isn't it? It does have an AM, FM radio. Does it have a CD player?
Yes.
A CD player. You don't see many of them around these days, do you?
No, we don't.
And cut.
You may recall we did a video on this at Birmingham a few years back. Now, this is the inside of our vehicle here. Here's Alex to pan you inside our vehicle. And here he is to tell you about it.
So this is the inside of one of the vehicles at Barry's house. And as Barry said earlier, it can take up to 3 wheelchairs and has a hoist at the back for getting people in and out. And organisations like Cerebral Palsy Alliance need these vehicles to help move their people around, don't they?
They do. And so, we won't get on the vehicle, but this is what you've got here. The fire extinguisher. Okay, there it is there. Alrighty. Now, in this, okay, this is where the fuel goes in. Diesel fuel only. Okay? Don't put petrol in there, for goodness sake. Otherwise, it's a big job to drain the fuel out, so be careful. Go to a survey that sells diesel. Here's Alex.
Yeah, absolutely, because different engines can only run on the specific fuel that they're designed for, can't they? So this van will only run on diesel, and if you put the wrong fuel in, it will break the engine.
And let's pan you in the front seat of the vehicle now. That's the front seat, the radio, CD, and things like that. And so there you have it. This segment was proudly brought to you by Toyota. Welcome everyone to episode 107 here right now in the studio. It is Tuesday the 19th of May. Welcome along to you and to all the viewers out there. Well, today on the show, we're going to be talking about the winter chills and what we can do if we're sick. And also, we'll be talking about casseroles again, and good casserole dishes for your oven. Now, let's kick off with the illness first in winter. Well, in winter, we can get sick very easily. Here's Alec now. Good afternoon to you and welcome.
Thanks, Barry. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, to open the show, the second part of our show today, winter. We all hate it, don't we? So, what we would like to advise to you, viewers who are watching, get your flu vax and COVID shots now. Here's Alec now to open episode 107 with this.
Yeah, thanks, mate. And great advice for everyone out there in the community to go and get vaccinated. I went and got my flu jab the very first day that it was available at my local chemist. I popped in and got it done straight away. So good thing to do to get vaccinated as soon as you can.
And don't leave it until it's too late. Now, if you are sick, okay, stay home and stay warm. And go to your doctors if you're not feeling any better. Here's Alec.
Yeah, that is good advice. So if you're not feeling well, if you're sick and you think you might be contagious, it's definitely a good idea to stay home and look after yourself. Staying warm is a good idea too. Stay healthy, drink lots of water, and try to get better as quickly as you can.
But if you are struggling to get better, go to the doctors. But like we discussed last time, only go to the doctor if necessary. Here's Alec.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it is okay if for most people it's okay to have a cold and just to look after yourself and get better. But it's if your symptoms persist, right? So if they last for more than just a few days, or if you feel very sick, then you should go to the doctor to make sure that you're okay.
But don't waste time talking about personal issues because a psychologist is good for that. Here's Alec.
Yeah, that's right, isn't it? So you can actually book a longer appointment with your GP, can't you? So if you do want to talk about personal issues, worries or concerns, you can do that with your GP, but you just need to book in a longer session so that you have enough time to do it properly. And as you say, they can refer you, right? They can refer you to a psychologist if you've got more things to talk about and you kind of get beyond the scope of a GP. Yeah.
And be honest with the doctors as well. Make sure that you tell your referring GP the truth and nothing but the truth. Here's Alec.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a very important point. You always need to tell the doctors the truth because they need the real information about your health to help you get better. If you accidentally tell them something that isn't right, then they might get the diagnosis wrong. They might treat you in the incorrect way. So it's always very important to tell doctors what's really happening to you, the truth about what's going on.
So don't just leave it till the last minute. If you know that you are not getting any better, guys, make sure that you book an appointment with your GP sooner rather than later. Here's Alex.
Yeah, that's right. So if you do feel like you're just not getting well, it's taking too long, or if you get quite sick, very sick, and you're a bit worried, then it's a good idea to get in and book an appointment with a GP.
Because the sooner you book the appointment in, guys, the better. And at some clinics you may be bulk billed, and some clinics you will have to pay. Hear that?
Yeah, that's right. It's a funny old system, isn't it? So some doctors do this bulk billing where most of the cost is covered by a government program, and other general practitioners, medical practices don't do bulk billing. They just do private, and you generally have to pay for the entire consultation yourself, don't you?
Yeah, so you will get some money back from Medicare.
Yeah.
Okay? So how to book a doctor's appointment, you can do it online and find out when your doctor is available or ring up on the phone. Hear that?
Yeah, and it is usually quite easy, isn't it, to just get onto the internet, go to the booking system for your medical practice. They will often have a little app there, a little calendar app, which will show you which doctors are available when, and you can usually quite easily book an appointment online. If it's too hard or you need help, you can also call them as well, and they'll talk to you.
And if you can't get to your doctor, guys, uh, there are after hours doctors. Look on when there are after hours doctors and what time they are available. Hear that?
Yeah, that's right. There are some after hours doctors, but actually, more often than not, if you're sick and need a doctor out of hours, you will have to go to the emergency department when you're at the hospital because there aren't that many medical practices that have after hours doctors. It's more common for them to have appointments through the day in normal work hours. And so if you get sick in the middle of the night and need a doctor, usually you'll have to go to the hospital. The other thing you can do, of course, is telehealth. So there are some hotlines that you can talk to where you can talk to a nurse or someone about your symptoms, and they can advise you whether or not you need to go to the hospital.
Okay, and when you are at the doctor's, guys, please be absolutely honest and truthful and tell them what is really wrong because the doctors do have other patients to see. Hear that?
Yeah, they do. So you definitely don't want to waste the doctor's time, and you really want to focus on what is really wrong with you and the reason why you're there today. That's the thing that you want to do, isn't it? You want to focus in on the reason that you're there, the illness, and tell them all the information they need to know about it.
And if you're not sure on what to tell the doctors, you can write down your problems on some paper. Then, when you go into the practice, you will have the information with you. Hear that?
Yeah, that's a good idea, isn't it? Because sometimes you forget to say something, and you kind of finish the appointment and you go, oh, whoops, I forgot to say that. So writing down like a little list of the things that you want to talk about is a good idea, so that you've got a little check in the appointment. That's a great idea.
So make sure that you tell the doctor everything and tell him or her that you may need a script for antibiotics, depending on how sick you are and whether you have an infection or not. Here's Alec.
Well, the great thing about doctors is that they figure that out, don't they? So usually, most doctors are really good at asking you questions, clarifying, and getting the information they need, and then they will figure out if you need antibiotics. So you usually don't need to suggest it at all. Usually, if they think you need it, they will actually come up with that idea on their own and suggest it to you. It's a good thing about doctors.
And like Alex said earlier, if you are really sick, please do go up to the emergency department, but we will close the show on that. So now it is time to talk about how to make casseroles. Well, it's casserole season time. And do you remember on At Home with BJ Fair where we talked about casseroles? Yep. Well, it's that time of the season again. Here's Alec.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's the days are getting shorter, the nights are getting longer, it's getting cooler, and it's even a little bit rainy today. And it is increasingly the right weather for casseroles.
Well, to make a good casserole, okay, like we said on At Home with BJ Fair 2 years ago, always have good, fresh ingredients. Here's Alan.
Yeah, that is great advice, mate. So you want to have fresh ingredients and then your casserole will taste really yummy.
And make sure you check on the use by date when you brought the meat and where you brought it. Here's Alec.
Yeah, that's very important, isn't it? Unfortunately, from time to time, supermarkets will stock meat that is either very close to being out of date or is even out of date. So it is worth checking every time, not just on the meat, on everything that you buy to make sure that it's in date and it is not going to make you sick.
Okay, so the best way to tell whether the meat is off, there is a foul, putrid smell. Here's Alec.
Yeah, that's right. It is one of the dead giveaways, isn't it? That if you open up some meat and it has turned and it's no good, and this sometimes happens even before the use by date. You can smell it, and if it smells bad, then it's gone off already. So that is a really good way of testing.
So, like we say, if the meat is out of date or not safe to cook, bin it because it's not safe to eat. Here's Alec.
Yeah, absolutely. If it smells bad, if you're suspicious about it, then just bin it. Absolutely, throw it away and start again. Make something else, or maybe you've got some other meat that you could use.
So, to make a casserole, okay, you need good ovenware, like a good casserole dish. Here's Alec.
Yes, great. That's a great suggestion, mate. So it's really important to have a good dish to cook your casserole in. Quite a lot of people will cook their casseroles either in a big pot, which can go on the stove or in the oven, or in a ceramic container, which will just go in the oven. But as long as you've got a good one of those, you'll be ready to go and make a lovely casserole.
And make sure that your dish is oven-proof, because as we said, if your dishes are not oven-proof, please don't put them in, because if the dish breaks, you could end up having one big mess all over the oven and all over the floor. Hear that?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. So definitely need to make sure that your dish is oven-proof if you're going to put it in the oven. And as you say, if it's not, it could easily break. And if it's full of a casserole and it breaks, it will make a giant mess. And it'll be a really nasty mess too, because particularly if the oven's hot, right? Like it'll burn onto the side and the bottom of the oven and just really not good at all. So make sure your pot or your dish is oven safe.
And when you are out at the shops, guys, make sure that you ask the store attendant which oven-proof dish is best for your oven. Here's Alex.
Yeah, so quite often at a shop where you're buying a dish like that, there will be helpful people who can tell you a little bit about the type of dish that you're buying. And you can also do some internet research into different dishes, can't you? So you can get advice from stores online and reviews online as well.
So make sure you are not spending money on nasty, cheap casserole dishes. Okay? And another thing, when you are making the casserole, make sure you keep the kids well away because they can pull the dish out and burn themselves. Yeah, Alec.
Yeah, that's very important, isn't it? So if you do have kids around, it's worth being very careful, making sure that they aren't anywhere near something that they could pull onto themselves and get hurt. But I think probably the most important thing is to teach them, right? So even from a very young age, you can teach kids how to be safe in the kitchen, to avoid sharp things, to avoid hot things. You want to start teaching them as soon as you can and supervise them at all times.
And also, like with the knives, guys, keep them out of the reach of the kids because they can accidentally poke their eyes out or cut their fingers. Here's Alec.
Yeah, that's a really important safety thing, isn't it? And it's not just in the kitchen, it's kind of in the whole house. You've got to make sure that sharp things are stored away safely, so that kids can't accidentally get access to them and hurt themselves.
And also, if the kids would like to help, make sure that you supervise them when you are cooking dinner, okay? That's very important. Here's Alec.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And it is a great thing to do to get your kids to help you and to participate in the cooking, because that teaches them how to cook and gives them responsibility, and it's also an engaging activity for them. So it's a great thing to do, and it also allows you to supervise them and teach them how to manage things in the kitchen.
Okay, so after you've cooked your casserole in the oven, make sure that it is cool enough to put it on the plate, because some recipes specify serve piping hot. Hear that?
Yeah, so usually when you take a casserole out of the oven, it is seriously hot, isn't it? And if you ate it straight away, it might burn your mouth. So it probably is worth waiting a couple of minutes for it to cool down a little bit. Sometimes you can serve a bit onto a plate and chop it up, and by the time you've done that, it will have cooled down enough for you to eat.
So before you take the dish out of the oven, guys, have some oven mittens. Here's Alec.
Yes, a very important safety tool in the kitchen, right, is a mechanism for holding hot things like oven mittens. Very important thing to use, and you don't ever want to forget, because you might accidentally touch something very hot with your fingers and hurt yourself, burn your fingers. So that's why we always wear oven mitts when we're getting things out of the oven.
And let the casserole rest for 5 minutes before you serve it. Okay? And you can serve your casserole with some rice, and sometimes people serve it with salad, okay, on the side, and sometimes the casserole is served with mashed potato. Here's Alec.
Yeah, I think that's probably my favourite actually. The mashed potato and vegetables with the casserole is one of my favourite dishes. Very, very yummy. But as you say, you can have all sorts of different things with it. You can have rice and salad, lots of different ways to eat your favourite casserole.
Well, the next subject we're going to talk about today is being prepared for a plane trip. Now it is time to talk about preparing to go overseas on the plane. Okay, if you're going overseas, make sure that you have a valid passport and whether you can afford to go overseas. Here's Alec now.
Yeah, so if you're going overseas, you absolutely will need a passport to go through customs and enter another country. And you can apply for a passport if you're an Australian citizen, and it will take a little bit of time and a bit of money. And that will be a key document that you will need when you go through customs in the country that you're going to.
And you may have to visit your doctor as well before you do go, so he can decide whether you are fit enough to travel. Here's Alec.
Yeah, that's an important consideration. Sometimes doctors will be concerned if you have an underlying condition, an ongoing illness, and also for some countries you actually need to get vaccinated for some different illnesses. So there are a few different reasons for going to the doctor if you're going to travel overseas.
And if you have someone in a wheelchair that's going with you, make sure that you notify the airlines to say that you've got someone in a wheelchair coming. Don't just turn up 2 days before. Give the airlines plenty of notice. Here's Alec.
Yeah, now that is really important, isn't it? So all of the airports and the airlines around the world, actually in all of the developed countries, have systems set up for making their spaces accessible. And so they are ready to help you if you're in a wheelchair, but it is important that you let them know beforehand. And with enough time, right? I think it varies by airport and by airline, but I think it's at least a week. You need to make sure that you tell them at least a week before.
Or even 2 months before, and make sure that you tell the airlines that you may need a hoist to transfer your client in, okay? And make sure that they have everything ready for you at the other end. It depends on where you're traveling to. Here's Alec.
Yeah, absolutely. If you need a hoist, you definitely need to let the airline know, and they can arrange that for you. And as you say, the more time you give them, the better. Quite often, I think you can probably advise airlines when you're booking your ticket. So as early as that, you can probably advise them that you're going to need some help with getting around the airport and getting onto the plane.
And make sure that you've got your transport organised to go to the airport, but before that, so ask the airlines what time that you need to be at the airport with your cabin, because if you've got an early morning flight, say like 6 a.m., you need to be at the airport at 3 o'clock in the morning. Here's Alex.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are important amounts of time, aren't there, that you have to be at airports before your flight leaves. And it is quite a long period of time. So at least a couple of hours before your flight leaves for an international flight. And I think it's half an hour or might be an hour for a domestic flight, but less time for a domestic flight. But it's important that you leave enough time to check in, check your baggage, and get to the gate in order to be ready to get onto the plane.
And don't carry things that might be dangerous, like knives or scissors or things like that, because they will be confiscated. Here's Alex.
Absolutely. And there is a whole list of things, isn't there, that you can't take onto planes? All sorts of things from, sharps, dangerous chemicals, liquids, all sorts of, even containers over a certain size, right? So lots of different things that you can't take on. So you do need to check that list before you pack your carry-on baggage and your luggage as well, your check luggage as well. You need to check all of that stuff before you pack your bags.
And make sure you advise the airline of the time you are going to be there, okay? Because it's no good, like we just said a couple of moments ago, turning up 5 days before, because they won't have everything ready in time. Here's Alex.
Yeah, that's right. So you definitely would like to let airlines and airports know if you do need some help or if you've got anything special that you're doing while you're traveling.
And make sure that you've got all your medications packed and all the scripts filled out by your doctor. You may want to do that a couple of days before you go. Here's Alex.
Oh, definitely, mate. So, in fact, I would say that kind of falls in the category that you talked about earlier, where it's something worth getting done quite a lot earlier. You don't want to leave it to the last couple of days, because can you imagine if you rocked up at the chemist, fill a script, and they didn't actually have what you needed? Then you'd have to try and go to a different chemist and get what you were needing. So if you need to take medicine on a trip, good idea to be really organised and have that all organised well in advance.
And make sure that you have disabled transport, okay, organised for your client, because if they are in a manual wheelchair, okay, you will need to order a taxi, okay, with a ramp, okay, and it's the same with the electric wheelchairs, okay, because that is very important. Here's Alex.
Yeah, absolutely. So your transport, if you need accessible transport, if you're in a chair, you will need to be in a special vehicle. Maybe it's an accessible taxi. And they'll drop you off at a particular place at the airport, won't they, where there's a good ramp for getting up onto the footpath from the road where you dropped off outside the van.
Okay, so make sure that your client has everything with them, like their money, their passport, the itinerary for the trip, okay? And another important thing I forgot to mention is the bathrooms. Now, the planes that haven't got wheelchair accessible bathrooms. So you may want to organize a special thing for doing your business in. Get out.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those tricky things, isn't it? So planes are definitely not designed for accessibility, and it's a real shame that the bathrooms, the amenities they have, are not really able to be used by everyone, and that's a bit of a shame. So you have to be prepared for that, don't you? And be organised and prepared before you go on your trip.
And also, guys, make sure that you've got transport to get to from the airport at the other end to wherever you are staying to, wherever you are staying, I'm sorry. So always organize your holiday trip properly. Okay, don't just not turn up and discover, oh no, I forgot this. So it may be a good idea, guys, if you write out a list a couple of weeks before, uh, okay, like you charge it for your chair, okay, your medication, your money, and most importantly, okay, your clothing, because if it's gonna be hot wherever you may be going, pack some summer gear. Hear that one?
Yeah, mate, that's a great idea. A very good suggestion is to make a list of things that you want to take with you if you're going away. Make a packing list and put all sorts of things on it, like your medication. Yes, absolutely, clothing. And you can even itemize the pieces of clothing, right? So that you know that you have enough pairs of undies, enough pairs of socks, enough shirts, all of those things you can put on your packing list to make sure that you've got everything you need when you go away.
And have a good trip, guys. Now, getting home from wherever. Again, book your taxi for a certain time. Tell them that you needed, say, if your flight was leaving at 7 o'clock in the morning, okay, make sure you are up and gone before 7 a.m. You may want to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning just to get yourself ready, make sure you've got everything, and make sure that your hotel room is neat and tidy for the next guest. Here's Alec.
Yeah, that's a lovely sentiment, mate. Making sure that you leave wherever you're staying in nice shape for the next people that come along. And to get up a little bit early, I'm not sure about 2 hours, but a little bit early to make sure you've got plenty of time to get ready, to get dressed and organised, to make sure that you're all packed and ready to go so that you can get your transport to the airport.
And once you have landed back in Australia, guys, make sure that you've got a taxi arranged to go back to your address. Here's Alec.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion too. It is good to have a ride, particularly if you're in a large group of people or you have some special needs, like if you're in a wheelchair, to have something booked so that you can go home straight away is a really good idea.
And I forgot to mention, guys, the food. Tell the airline staff about your dietary requirements too. Here's Alec.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion, mate. So airlines do have alternative meals that you will generally, if you're on a full service flight, you will generally get fed something on the journey, and you can let them know if you've got any intolerances or special needs for food, and they can give you different meals.
And enjoy your trip, guys. Happy, safe traveling, and have a good holiday. as usual, this program is coming to an end. Thank you for joining us today on episode 107. Now, before we do go, just recapping our opening sequence. Okay, winter. Make sure that you are well enough to do the things you want to do. Here's Alex.
Yeah, absolutely. So stay well during this colder season. Stay warm. Stay hydrated. Stay healthy.
And if you feel unwell, guys, please don't hesitate to call your doctor for advice or health direct, and they will be able to give you advice on the phone. Okay? And if you've got COVID, guys, please stay home. You know the drill. And as always, the message that I close each show with, and that is 000. Please do not ring that number for stupid, trivial issues like if your van won't start or if your souffle won't rise in the oven, because that is not an emergency. Here's Alex now to close episode 107 with this.
Yeah, thanks, Barry. Always a good community service announcement. Only use 000 in an emergency.
And next time on the show, we'll be talking about organizing a radio show. Well, I certainly know how to organize one. And just to give you guys an idea, we played the songs of 1978. Now at number 5, we opened up with Pablo Cruz and Don't Want to Live Without Us. Number 4, Too Much Too Little Too Late by Denise Williams and Johnny Mathis. At number 3, Jack and Jill by Radio. And number 4, Alex's favorite, Isn't It Time? And at number 5, we closed the show with Are You Old Enough? And Dragon. And so next time on Radio Northern Beaches, we'll be taking you back to the year 1986. So we do hope that you will tune in for that. And speaking of tuning in, we hope that you tune in to our next exciting show, and it will be episode 108 then. So from 2 weeks today, we'll be talking about the radio again. Okay? So we hope that you have enjoyed the show today. Thanks for your company, and we will see you next time around on the show. But until then, at 3 minutes to 5 o'clock on this great Tuesday, it is bye-bye from myself, Alec. It is bye-bye from myself, Barry Fair, and Alex Taylor. See you later, everybody. Thanks for watching episode 108 today. So until then, as Tony Bobby used to say, keep smiling and bye for now. Here's Alec for his farewell.
Thanks, Barry. Thanks for having me on the show.
And until we see you again, you know where to find us. And 2 minutes to 5, it's bye from myself, Barry, and Alex. Take care of yourself, everyone. See you next time round. Bye-bye.
This program is proudly brought to you by Toyota.